I showed up for the family reunion I paid for, thinking I'd finally get to see everyone. But the place was empty. Mom laughed when I called and said, "Oh, honey, that was yesterday." She added, "Don't worry, we'll bring you some leftovers." I didn't say a word. But the next morning, the police said plenty on my behalf. Honestly, I should have sensed something was wrong the second I pulled into the lot. No familiar cars, no laughter, no noise. No cousins sneaking smokes by the dumpsters like they thought nobody noticed. Just dead silence. I double-checked the message. Friday, 7 p.m., Mateos. Can't wait to see everyone. That text came from Mom. It was sent 2 weeks earlier. And it was Friday. 7:02 p.m. I was right on the dot. Like a fool. I walked in, the blast of cold air giving way to smooth jazz and the clink of wine glasses. The restaurant wasn't empty. But the private dining room I'd reserved and put a deposit on? Locked up. Lights off. "Can I help you, sir?" the hostess asked without really looking at me. Yeah. Carter party? Private room?" I said, trying not to sound rattled. She glanced down at her list. "Oh. Yeah, that was last night." I blinked hard. "No. That's not right. It's tonight." I told her I'd booked it. Paid in advance. She tilted her head slightly. "Sir, they were here. 16 people. They'd cake. Your mom brought place cards. Are you sure you're not mistaken?" I let out a laugh, dry and bitter, the kind that dies halfway in your throat. "No. I'm not mistaken." There was a pause. She looked uncomfortable now. "Do you want to call someone?" she asked. I didn't answer. I was already dialing. The phone rang twice before Mom picked up. "Hi, sweetie," she chirped, sounding way too casual. "Everything okay?" I stared ahead, my voice low. "Where is everybody?" There was a pause. Then that airy, fake little laugh she always uses when she knows she messed up but won't admit it. "Oh, honey, it was yesterday. We thought you weren't coming. But hey, don't worry, we'll bring you leftovers." I froze. "What?" She said it again, like she was telling me the weather. "It was yesterday. We'll bring you leftovers." I didn't bother saying goodbye. I just hung up. No one called me back. Not Mom. Not Emma. No one. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Emma. "LMAO bro, you seriously missed it? Classic. Don't worry, we saved you a roll." My hand started to shake. From the cold, or from anger, I couldn't tell. I looked at the hostess. "They came. 8. Left," I said. She just shrugged. "Seemed like they had a good time." "Of course they did. They always do when I'm not around." I walked out without another word. No calls, no texts, no messages in the family group chat. But I didn't go home either. I sat in my car with the engine off, just staring at my own reflection in the windshield, thinking about the bill. The dinner charge. The Uber rides. The 10 messages I'd sent Mom earlier that week, confirming the time. She saw them. They all did. They just didn't care. That wasn't an accident. It was a decision. And tomorrow? I'd make mine. You'd think being left out of a family gathering, one you actually paid for, would be the worst part. But it wasn't. That was just the final cherry on a 5-year-long sundae made of crap. This wasn't the first time they excluded me. Not even close. It was just the first time they didn't bother pretending otherwise. I was always the extra. The one they forgot until they needed something. Emma? She was the golden child. The brilliant one who just needed a little help getting started. Me? I was the one who didn't need much. Which was just their way of saying, "You'll survive without love, so we're not wasting any on you." When I landed my first real job, I called Mom, proud and excited. She didn't say congratulations. She said, "Great. Now you can help your sister with rent. That was the beginning. 1 month of rent turned into a full year. Then utility bills. Then her dental work. Then car insurance. Then textbooks for a nursing program she dropped after 1 semester and never refunded me for. I kept paying because I thought that's what you did when you love your family. But lovin' my family? It only runs one way. Anytime I tried to talk about it, even gently, I got hit with the same thing. Stop being so transactional. We're family. Emma's just going through a lot. You know that. You're doing better than she is. Why are you keeping score? Thing is, I wasn't keeping score. They just refused to see I was bleeding. I remember one night, 2 years back, Emma needed $600 for an emergency vet bill. I wired it, no questions asked. Later that same day, she posted on Instagram, new shoes, fresh nails, some guy's hand holding a champagne glass. I showed the story to Mom. She scrolled, gave a little smirk, and said, "You boys always get so petty about money." Petty. Last winter, I paid their property taxes because Dad forgot and the county sent a lien notice. I covered Emma's minimum payments for half a year after she got laid off, while I was barely hanging on myself. One Christmas, I emptied out my savings to buy everyone gifts. And what did I get in return? A framed family photo. I wasn't even in it. But none of that touched what I overheard that night. That night changed everything. It was about 6 months ago. I was staying at my parents' place for a weekend. I had just bailed Emma out of another mess, $200 this time because she overdrafted again. Went downstairs late to grab a glass of water and heard voices in the living room. "Emma, he's so obsessed with playing the martyr. It's pathetic." "Mom, I know. He acts like he's some kind of hero just because he pays for stuff." Dad laughed. "Let him pay. He's not getting married anyway. Might as well make himself useful." I stood in the hallway, frozen. Then Emma again, voice smug. "You know he actually thinks we'd fall apart without him?" Snort. "Please. If he disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't even notice." I didn't walk in. Just turned around, went back upstairs, laid in bed, and stared at the ceiling. Next morning, Mom made pancakes like nothing ever happened. After that, I stopped sending money. For about 2 weeks. Then Emma texted. "Hey, I need help with rent. I'll pay you back. Promise." I didn't respond. 2 days later, Mom called. "Mom, Emma's behind on her bills again," she said. "She's in a rough spot." Then came the guilt trip. "You know how sensitive she is. Why are you being so cold?" I told her, "I just can't keep doing this." That's when she said it, the sentence that gutted me in a way I didn't fully admit at the time. "If you're going to punish us for raising you, maybe we shouldn't have bothered." I felt something crack inside. But later that day, I still sent the money. And now, after all that, they went and had a family reunion without me. A meal I paid for. At a time I had personally confirmed. And when I called to ask where they were, Mom didn't flinch. She just said, "Oh, it was yesterday. We'll bring you some leftovers." Leftovers. Like I was a stray. Not a son. Not a brother. Just a walking wallet with decent credit. I sat in my car outside Mateo's for a long time that night. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stared at the steering wheel in that heavy silence, letting the weight of every moment I'd been the good one sink in. And what had that role gotten me? Tomorrow, I wouldn't be the good one. Tomorrow, they'd see who I was without the leash. And I already knew where I'd start. I didn't sleep. Not because I was hurt. Not even angry anymore. I was focused. That dinner? Mateo's charged me $1,740 after taxes and tip. 16 people. I covered appetizers. I paid extra for Emma's plant-based menu and Aunt Linda's special wine-free option because of her allergy. They didn't forget me. They planned it this way. And they did it knowing exactly what they were doing. The next morning, I sent a message in the family group chat. Meet at Mom's tonight. 7 p.m. I have something for you. Not a single person asked what I meant. Of course they didn't. They never asked me anything. At 6:58, I pulled into the driveway. They were already inside. Emma, half scrolling on her phone. Dad, lounging in his recliner, nursing a beer. Mom, fluffing pillows like she was expecting company. She looked up and smiled like nothing had happened. Hi, honey. We weren't sure if you were still upset. I didn't respond. Emma looked up next, fake sympathy dripping from her face. You know we didn't do it to hurt you, she said. It was just easier to get everyone together Thursday. Most of us have, like, lives. She actually said that, with a straight face. I walked over and placed a large envelope on the coffee table. Mom blinked. What's that? I sat down, calm as ever. It's a bill. Dad let out a short laugh. A bill? For what? The dinner, I said. The one you all enjoyed without me. Emma laughed outright. You're serious? I am. Mom's smile faded. Her voice dropped. You're not actually asking us to pay you back, are you? No, I said, leaning in. I'm giving you the chance to. Because from now on, anything you want from me comes with an invoice. Dead silence. Dad shifted upright, his tone sharp. You need to lose this attitude. We're family. Right, I said. Family. The same family that deliberately left me out of a reunion I funded. The same family that's been draining me dry for 5 straight years. Emma rolled her eyes. No one made you pay. That was the moment I snapped. I stood up. Oh? You want to talk about what no one made me do? I pointed at her. Did anyone force me to cover your rent for 2 years? Or bail you out when you couldn't manage a checking account? Or fix your damn car when you blew out the transmission? Then I turned to Mom. No one made me pay off your back taxes. No one made me foot the bill for your cruise because Dad forgot your birthday. No one made me haul groceries every time your knee suddenly flared up. Dad's face darkened. Watch your mouth. I smiled coldly. Oh, I'm just getting started. I pulled a folded list from my pocket and dropped it on the table. You don't want to hear it? That's fine. But I had to live it. Then came the next twist. I placed a thick folder next to the list. Dad frowned. What now? Documentation, I said. Every transfer. Every Venmo. Every wire. Every dollar. Emma snorted. You seriously kept receipts? That's insane. No, I said. My voice didn't rise. I'm protected. Because this morning? I filed a fraud report. They froze. I tapped the folder. All of this is in the system now. Mom blinked. What do you mean? I met her eyes. Last week, I found out someone used my name to open a credit card. Bought an iPhone. Spa package. Same one Emma posted about on her Instagram, said it was a gift from a friend. Emma's jaw dropped. Her face drained of color. I kept going. I called the credit company. They've opened an identity theft investigation. The address on the card? Yours. Emma stood up, flustered. Are you serious? Dead serious, I said. And if you think I won't press charges. Mom's voice went sharp. You wouldn't dare. Try me. And just like that, the room detonated. Emma shrieked. You're pathetic. Dad bellowed. You'd really throw your own sister in jail? I fired back. You really expect me to keep playing the fool forever? Mom started sobbing. You're tearing this family apart. No, I said, heading for the door. I'm finally cutting myself loose from it. But before I reached the hallway, a voice spoke up. Soft. Quiet. Ryan. My cousin. The one who barely spoke at family gatherings. He cleared his throat. I'd like to pay my share, he said gently. For the dinner. It's only fair. Everyone turned to stare at him. He looked down, then added. I should have said something earlier. But yeah, they planned to leave you out. I was there when they joked about it. Said you'd be too dramatic. He looked up at me, eyes steady. I'm sorry. And for the first time all night, I actually smiled. Thanks, I told Ryan. Then I turned and walked out. They thought they could keep me in that role forever, the fixer, the bank, the quiet one who never pushed back. But they forgot something critical. Even quiet people speak. And when we finally do, we don't whisper. We call the cops. The next morning, at exactly 8:17 a.m., my phone rang. Blocked number. I answered. Is this Alex Carter? A calm voice asked. Yes. This is Officer Barnes, local precinct. We're following up on a financial fraud report involving a credit card in your name. The billing address traces back to a property associated with your family. A beat of silence. We'll be stopping by today to speak with the residents. Do you need me there? No, sir. You've done what you needed to. We'll take it from here. I ended the call and just sat there. Still. Quiet. For once, they would open the door and face someone they couldn't lie to or manipulate. This time, I wouldn't have to argue. The uniform would do the talking. I thought silence would feel like peace. Instead, it felt like a fuse had been lit. They say if you remove the keystone, the arch crumbles. I wasn't the keystone. I was the whole foundation. And the second I walked away, the structure collapsed. The visit wasn't quiet. Mom left me a furious voicemail later that day. 10 minutes long. Apparently, 2 officers had shown up at 7:45 a.m. while she was still in her robe and Dad hadn't had his coffee yet. 1 male. 1 female. Professional, but direct. We're here regarding an identity theft investigation. The card was opened in your son's name. Over $4,000 in charges are linked to this address. We need to know who had access. Mom's response? Predictable. There must be some mistake. We're a good family. Of course. They asked to speak to everyone present. Emma tried to leave. Said she had work. The officers politely asked her to stay. She cracked in under 5 minutes. It wasn't really fraud. He always helps. I thought he'd understand. Mom jumped in fast. She's under a lot of pressure. She didn't mean anything by it. Too late. Everything was written down. Recorded. They even asked to see Emma's phone. And that's when it got worse. They found the texts. Use my bro's info. If it backfires, I'll play dumb. IDC, he's such a pushover, he won't even notice. This wasn't just a mistake. It was premeditated. And it was proof. That same afternoon, I got another call, this time from a detective. We have enough evidence to proceed with charges, he said. Would you like to move forward? I told him to give me 24 hours. By that evening, my phone lit up like a bonfire. 27 missed calls. 41 texts. Mom. Alex. Please. Talk to us. It was a mistake. Dad. She panicked. Don't destroy her life over this. Emma. You selfish piece of crap. I'll lose my job. My apartment. This is your family. Funny. No one cared when I was the one unraveling. When I was quietly breaking to keep them whole. The next day, I called the detective back. Can we pause the formal charge for now? He agreed, but was clear. This doesn't go away. It just goes on file. That's when Mom made her move. She called me, voice smooth and sugary. If you really want to fix things, come over. Let's talk face to face. Against every instinct, I went. I shouldn't have. The second I stepped through the door, I knew it was a trap. Emma was wrapped in a blanket on the couch, playing the role of the wounded one. Mom had that perfectly rehearsed worried mother expression. Dad didn't even bother to stand. "We just want to heal," Mom said. "We? I know you're hurt. But this is tearing us apart." "No," I said flatly. "Emma did that." Emma's voice broke. "I didn't think you'd actually go to the police." "Who does that?" "Someone who's had enough," I replied. Mom reached out for my hand. "Let's make this go away. We'll pay it back. You don't need police." I pulled my hand away. "You could have said that before the knock on the door." She winced like I slapped her. That's when Dad finally spoke. "You're not perfect, you know. You act like this makes you some kind of hero." I looked him dead in the eye. "No. It makes me free." Then I walked out. Again. This time for good. A week passed. Then the detective called again. "We received a payment for the charges. Anonymous, but it came from a joint account registered to your parents." He paused. "Would you still like to press charges?" I thought about it. Really thought. Then I said, no. But I added, "Not this time. I want it on record, if she ever uses my name again, I want full prosecution." He understood. We ended the call. And just like that, I was done. No more money. No more guilt. No more showing up just to be invisible until someone needed a bill paid. I left the state 2 weeks later. Small town. Quiet streets. Clean break. And for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't holding my breath around anyone. I was free. The landlord was kind. Rent was half what I used to pay back home. That first weekend, I built IKEA furniture with a cheap screwdriver set and old college playlists running in the background. There was something almost sacred about it, sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by screws and freedom. I went grocery shopping and bought only what I liked. I made coffee in my own kitchen. Sat on my own couch. Read a book cover to cover without a single knock on the door asking for help, money, or time. And somewhere between page 42 and the second cup of coffee, it hit me. I wasn't responsible for anyone but me. Then, 3 weeks into this new quiet life, a letter showed up. No return address. Just a plain envelope. Handwritten. Inside, a single folded piece of paper and a check. "I don't expect you to forgive me. But thank you for doing what I never had the courage to. Signed, Ryan." The check? Half the amount from the Mateos bill. I smiled. He didn't owe me anything, but he understood. The rest of them? I never heard from again. Not on my birthday. Not at Christmas. Not even when Dad had surgery later that year. I only found out because a cousin I barely know posted about it on Facebook. And you know what? Good. They finally got a taste of what life was like without me. And I finally tasted life without them. People love to say, blood is thicker than water. But they always leave out the real version. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. In other words, chosen loyalty beats shared DNA. It took me 32 years to learn that. The hard way. The last time I saw their faces was the day I walked out of that house with a folder in my hand and fire in my chest. Since then? Nothing. No calls. No texts. No sudden apologies wrapped in guilt traps. That silence? It used to feel like exile. Now, it feels like oxygen. A few weeks ago, I ran into someone from back home. Old classmate. Grocery store checkout line. She squinted, tilted her head. "Hey, didn't you used to be Emma's brother?" I paused. Then I smiled. No. No shame. No hesitation. Just clarity. Because I'm not Emma's brother anymore. I'm not the dependable one. I'm not the wallet. I'm not the fallback plan when everything else falls apart. I'm just me. And for the first time in my life, that's enough. They thought I'd crumble without them. That I'd crawl back eventually. That I needed their warped version of love, the guilt dressed as care, the control disguised as closeness. They were wrong. I don't need Sunday dinners where I sit in silence while they praise themselves. I don't need check-ins that are really setups for the next favor. I don't owe anyone an explanation for changing my number or skipping Christmas. Let them wonder. Let them spin their stories. Let them whisper explanations at family functions. Because deep down, they know. They pushed me out. And this time, I didn't beg to be let back in. Here's the part they'll never understand. They lost control the moment I stopped begging for love. And started demanding respect. Because people like that. They'll throw family at you like a weapon. But the second you throw back a boundary, they call you cold. Selfish. Ungrateful. Broken. I'm none of those things. I'm just no longer theirs. And Emma? She didn't lose her job. She didn't go to jail. But she did lose the mask. The truth got out. Ryan left the house. Aunt Carol won't let her babysit anymore. Uncle Steve, who I hadn't spoken to in years, called out of the blue. Emma's name is mud at every family gathering, he said. You don't need to come back. They're the ones who screwed up. We all see it now. But I told him the same thing I'd tell you. It's not about who sees it. It's about who survived it. And I did. So no, I'm not coming back for birthdays. I'm not picking up calls out of guilt. I'm not faking hugs at potlucks so mom can make passive-aggressive comments about how hard it is to keep a family together these days. I'm not theirs anymore. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. These days, I wake up and there's peace. I work and keep what I earn. I eat what I want. I say no without apology. I don't flinch when my phone lights up. I don't hold my breath around people who say they love me. I'm free. Not because they let go. But because I stopped asking for permission. Let them keep their leftovers. Let them pass around my picture like I died. Let them gossip and speculate and rewrite the story. Let them call me the villain. I'll still sleep like a baby. Because here's the truth. When they shut that door on me, I didn't lose a family. They lost me. And that's the first bill they'll never pay off.